welcome. It is your friendly neighborhood boy, Gaby. Hi, I'm your host, me. I had planned on filming a video as I was driving back home from Vegas, and my window regulator broke, so my window is stuck like partially down, and currently I'm like driving through the highway that's next to the strip right this second, so it's quite loud. I daily drive a geo tracker. There is absolutely no way you guys are going to be able to hear me right now. Let's go back to the studio. We'll talk all about the TFV12 prints because I have a lot of complaints. Okay, bye. Currently on Spring Mountain, which has an elevation of around 11,000 feet. I pulled over here in this nice little park to talk to you guys about the TFV12. I personally live in this mountain range. My house is around 3,000 feet above sea level, give or take. And I just was skating down in Vegas for the day, and I'm headed back home. You have to go over this massive mountain and through this mountain range to get back to my house. So I figure I would pull over here at this little pull-off area that's nice and scenic to talk about a sub-ohm tank. Something that's notorious for leaking with elevation. This is the TFV12, and I believe this is the Prince TFV12. Now this tank was very popular and still is quite popular today. Here's an example of how popular this tank was. You know how everybody has a geek bar right now? Everybody has a geek bar. People that you wouldn't expect to vape have a geek bar. But a couple years ago, the geek bar was the TFV whatever tank. There was the TFV-A, TFV12, Loud Beast, the Baby Beast, Beast Baby, the Beast Ada Baby, the list goes on. Now, I personally have no problem with Smok. I think Smok is a great company. They've always been super nice to me. A lot of their products are really good. The TFV line of atomizers serves its purpose, and it does its purpose. It is a entry-level cloud chasing tank that you don't have to think about. It is the equivalent to buying a nice flavor geek bar or whatever disposable that you like. I originally got a TFV8 back in the day, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I'm a little bit older now, well seasoned by life. So some of my thoughts and opinions on mods and devices and atomizers and stuff like that have changed throughout the years. In here, I am using Prince X6 coils, which apparently brings you silky taste and massive vapor. Okay. These are 6 tuple coils, meaning there are 6 coils in the one sub-ohm coil, and it is at a 0.15. Now they say, on the back of this, you can hear the frustration in my voice. They say that this is making me stutter. They say that these coils are compatible between 50 and 120 watts. However, it is best between 80 and 100 watts. Which I can tell you right now is not accurate whatsoever. I even put this tank on their own mod to see, like, I don't know, is there some kind of weird energy currency that comes through the Smok mods that makes it work at that wattage? No. Before I get back to complaining, show you the features of this tank. Up the top, you have a 810 drip tip, which is pretty cool. It's got a little hexagon pattern on here, and you have a fill port. To fill your juice, you press in this little tab here, and then it slides out. Oh wow. And you fill up your juice right there. You got a little slot, and then it fills up your juice reservoir. With this particular configuration I have, I believe this holds around 4 milliliters of e-liquid because I have the bubble glass on there. Inside I have the coil like I just talked about, which is interchangeable for 100 different versions of this coil. And there's an RBA deck and this coil and that coil. There is a massive amount of support for this sub-ohm tank. I do think it's very cool that you can buy a RBA deck for it and get all kinds of different coils to make this kind of the way you want it to be. However, I am using what is supposed to be a very serious vapor coil here. This is a 6-tuplet coil. This is supposed to be the peak of what sub-ohm tanks have to offer. You have massive airflow slots on either side that you can cut down. I like it wide open. However, I'll get into the issue with it wide open. And then on the bottom, you have a normal 510 pin. It is not hybrid compatible or hybrid safe. Never use something like this on a mech mod. It is never a good idea. There is no way that would ever work. So the coil head that's in here, you may notice has a bunch of juice flow holes in there. And I should have brought the rest of the package of these with me, but we do have the package itself so I can point it out to you. Let me get a good desert pointer. I have my desert pointer here, and I'm going to point out a couple things to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There is 12 pretty decent sized juice fill holes for this coil. That's pretty damn big. That is a massive amount of juice that is supposed to be going into these coils at all times. Now, in real life, IRL, these are, I would say, around 2 to 3 millimeters wide of each juice flow hole. Let me just do the math on that real quick. Let me just hit you with a math. For the sake of argument, we'll go in the middle. We'll say they're 2.5. So 2.5 times 12 equals 30. There is 30 millimeters of what should be flowing, silky, voluptuous, what did they call it? Brings you silky taste, massive vapor of juice entering your coils at any given moment. Think about how much cotton is in your RDA. All right, ready? So you have your coils, right? You have your coil right here. And then you send your cotton leads out on either side, presumably for 2 coils. I would say that is probably less than 30 millimeters of juicing capacity. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? What I'm getting at here is I get a lot of burnt hits and dry cotton hits from this coil. Now I have run about, I would say 10 tanks of juice through this coil, and I'm not using overly ridiculously sweet juice. I'm using Humble's American Dream, which is a very, very, very good cereal juice. It's like a Fruity Loops type juice. It is very good. Highly recommend checking out Humble's American Dream. And before you write in the comments, yes, when I initially set up this coil, I did let it prime and let all the juice go in. I primed it before I put it in the deck section, let it do its thing, and it still is dry on me all the time. And I'll do like a little tilt, a little lean, a little loop-de-loop to try and have it wick itself up, and it still just doesn't work the way it should. I am currently sitting at 55.6 for some reason. If you are vaping at 50 watts, the lowest that this is rated for, it is very unsatisfying. You can't really taste your juice. You don't have great vapor production. It's just not very satisfying. This coil wants to sit around 80 watts. It's true. It is when it is working best is around 80 watts. However, the wicking cannot keep up with the production of 80 watts. This works realistically to use this for an extended period of time other than just like vaping it once and setting it down on a table and coming back to it 10 minutes later. The most functional way I found is to use it at like 55 watts, literally the max of what you can do if you're someone who actually enjoys vaping something is like 57, which is ridiculous to me. Now, flavor is not what you would get off an RDA. I am predominantly an RDA vapor. I'm vaping a 70-30 juice right now, so it is massively flavorful juice, and this is very, very, very good juice that I typically use through an RDA. Now, I know that sub-ohm tanks have less flavor and less cloud production than an RDA. That is just a given thing. It's just the nature of the beast. That's just how it goes. However, flavor on this is terrible. Flavor is really bad. Vapor production is okay. Meh, it's okay. But even just hitting it those couple times right there, it's already starting to taste like burnt cotton. Now, it is very well possible that this particular coil, the sextuple coil, is just not for me. There are tons and tons and tons of different coil variations that you can put in this, and I'm sure there is some sort of coil variation, probably the RBA base, that I would legitimately like. But as it stands, this coil is awful. And the airflow on this is cheap. This is a very loud tank. For instance, I'm someone who really enjoys vaping. So I vape all day and I love vaping, and that's what I do. I enjoy it. This tank is so loud that if my wife is asleep next to me and I'm like playing video games or watching something or scrolling something and I hit this, I like almost feel bad about how loud it is. Fortunately, it doesn't wake my wife up, or at least to my knowledge, it doesn't wake my wife up. But this thing is, it's too loud. I get it. I get what the TFV12, the TFV8, the Beast Baby Beast is. I understand that it is a lower level, entry level sub-ohm tank for people who want their first experience of vaping. It serves that purpose, and I get that this is a very cheap tank. At the same time that this came out, there were other sub-ohm tanks from lesser known companies that were around the same price that just were better. When you vape this, the airflow feels cheap and the vape experience feels cheap, and it just doesn't feel good. And again, this is why I said this in the beginning. Smok has a lot of products that I really like that are also extremely affordable. For instance, the Smok Mag. This is an awesome mod. They make really cool stuff. And if I was a first-time vapor and this was my first experience with vaping, I'd be like, this is fun and I want to vape more, but I wish I could vape more without getting burned cotton taste in my mouth and in my eyes. And we're dry. With a full tank of juice, we're dry. And we, seriously, I'm not even hamming this up for the camera. We're at 55.6 still. I'll turn it down. Let's see, we'll go down to, man, we'll go to 49.3, whatever. Oh, that's just, it's all just burned cotton. My battery has 9% left, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But my point of coming up here on the top of the mountain and talking about a sub-ohm tank on the top of the mountain is sub-ohm tanks are notorious for leaking in different altitudes. And one very positive thing is I have not experienced any leaking. Like I said at the beginning of the video, my house is around 3,000 feet above sea level. Currently, right now, I'm around 10,000-ish feet above sea level, and I was down in Vegas, which is very close to sea level, and I did that all in a day. And so, like, it didn't leak on me. I didn't have any issues with that. So that is very cool. And there's a lot of great engineering to this. It's just so frustrating because with just like a little bit of tweaking, this could have been so much better. So with all that being said, would I say that the TFV12 with the 6-tuple coil setup holds up to modern day standards of vaping? I would say no. This coil that's in here is terrible. This is a terrible coil. It's a terrible vape experience. However, I know that there are other coils that you can easily pop into this to make it more enjoyable. And we are going to be exploring those as well. So if you enjoyed me complaining, make sure to hit subscribe and you will see more coils for this in an upcoming video. And let's hope and pray and scream at the sky that the other ones are better. I'm afraid to hit this again because it's all burnt. I feel like I'm disrespecting this delicious juice. Anyways, share your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.